RGB is all the rage nowadays, but there are still some of you who would rather pay less for something that doesn't look so fancy, but still just works. So if you want to forsake the flashy, but you still want the splashy, Corsair's just released their H60 AIO cooler. Again. All my water cooling jokes are running dry. The block looks pretty much the same as their recently released H150i and H115i Pro RGB coolers, minus the RGB. So the H60 $4,000 question is it really worth it? The pump was designed by Coolit and sports a copper base with pre-applied thermal paste. That being said, Corsair uses the same mounting system as their new Pro RGB series, making it easier than me after a shot of RGB. You've got support for all recent and relevant sockets, but not TR4, probably for good reason. Hot pocket? Sure. Hot socket? No thanks. Out of the pump, you get a single simple cable splitting into SATA power plus a 3-pin part for pump predominance. You'll find this kind of glossy rubber tubing that seems fairly resistant to kinking, leading to the 120mm aluminum radiator, cooled by an included static pressure fan, sporting a PWM cable, durable plastic, but no rubber dampeners. On the topic of cooling, this is going to be an incredibly unfair test since all of my other coolers were done with some pretty hefty overclocks in mind, and not using the same settings means redoing all of my everything. But as a reminder, my room is not a perfectly controlled environment, and while I tried my best to lock down what I could, these results should be taken with a grain of salt. Additionally, this doesn't mean one cooler is definitely better than another. You've got to consider what belongs in your computer based on your preference between the balance of silence, performance, price, and so on. Maxing out the fans, we see respectable performance. Comparatively speaking, it doesn't do great, but you've also got to remember it's the smallest and least expensive of the bunch. Equalizing the noise output to 45 dBA, we see performance drop as expected, but honestly, it's not all that terrible. Dropping fan speeds to the lowest setting raised my blood pressure, but to be honest, I really bullied the crap out of the little guy, and I'm definitely going to hell for this. Then it'll be my turn to burn. I probably just won't be quite as quiet about it. Here, have a listen. Pricing for this unit comes in at about $70 US, which is a $10 bump up from their old H60. Wait, did they really keep the same name? God damn it. In either event, pricing is pretty okay since most water coolers of this form factor float anywhere between $60 to $100, some with RGB, some without. Note that this doesn't use Corsair Link, so that might stink. But maybe some of you prefer the simple approach and don't want to fuss about with the software. Still, for a $10 bump, I think it would have been nice to see a magnetic levitation fan of theirs included instead of the static pressure one. Would have been way more attractive in my opinion. Though, in any case, it's still pretty quiet. The pump is audible when the case is open, but at a normal sitting distance with the case closed off, it isn't noticeable to me. The white LED is bright and evenly lit if you are concerned about that kind of thing, but there is no way to turn it off without also disabling the pump, which is bad. The rubber tubing is consistent with their approach, being functional yet delivering an arguably aesthetic hit, but a cooler like this to me feels like it belongs in a small form factor system that's meant to be hidden or out of sight, so a little less flash for a little less cash makes a lot of sense. If all that sounds like it floats your metaphorical boat, the Corsair H60 is pretty nifty. And so that's all I have to say about that. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, share, leave me questions if you got them. Thanks for watching. My name is Steven, and I am ALittleDIMM. Bye-bye. To make sure these things weren't looking stupid. The block looks pretty much the same as their recently released. The pump sports a copper base with pre-applied thermal paste and the new 6th generation Acitek innards for low noise operation. I don't know what that was. This is going to be an incredibly unfair test since all of my other air's not even in the script, why did I say that? Additionally, this doesn't mean one cooler is definitely better than another. You've got to consider what belongs in your system based on performance, price, balance. Wait, no, based on your preference between balance. I'm blind. Pricing for this unit comes in at about $70 US. But maybe some of you prefer the simple approach and don't want to abuse. It isn't noticeable to me at all, at least. No. But at a normal sitting distance with your case closed off, it isn't noticeable to me, at least. Oh, that's weird. Hold on.